Firstly, thank you very much, Nathan, for giving me opportunity to interview you for my YouTube channel and podcast.
Oh, my pleasure. It was so good to meet you earlier, and I know it's going to be an interesting discussion.
So, I thought to tell about the work that you are doing to my audience and the work that you did to my audience.
Yeah, maybe it'd be good to go in chronological order. When I graduated from high school in '94, that's 1994, the internet was just taking off. '94 was when Netscape browser was released. Before that, there really wasn't a commercial browser. That's, I believe, also the year that Amazon got started. It just sold books. It didn't sell anything else. And the internet was really starting to take off at that time, and anybody who knew anything about computers could get a job. So I was in college, and then I also did work for an internet service provider, and that led to a job for a web development firm, which led to a job working at Compaq, which became HP, and ultimately from there, I eventually went to a software company called Anaplan, and that's pretty much what I've been doing for the past, I guess, 25, 26 years. But I've always had an interest in space. Whenever I was, in high school, we used to watch Star Trek, used to read science fiction with my friends. My dad used to take me over to the NASA, to the Johnson Space Center. I even went to Kennedy Space Center one time. That was back in December of 1985. And the Challenger shuttle was actually on the launch pad. And then, of course, that January is when they had the disaster with the explosion. But I always was interested in space. But, once you get a career in one field, your job continues down with a similar type of career. But, the kids are either graduated from college or in college. And I was just really happy to have an opportunity come up for me to actually make a transition over into space. I learned about this entry-level flight controller position. And so I applied to it, got accepted, and I'm currently in the training for that. A lot of people know about the astronauts in the International Space Station, going around the Earth every 90 minutes, doing all the science that they do, doing spacewalks, going up there in Soyuz capsules and coming back, going up there in SpaceX Dragons and coming back, having all these supply vehicles going up there. But what you may not realize is there's a whole group of people here on the ground that is really managing, supporting the International Space Station. You have people here on the ground that are looking at the environmental control, making sure it's the right pressure, that the carbon dioxide is getting out, that the oxygen is staying at the right levels, making sure that the water gets recycled. You have people here on the ground that are making sure that power generation is happening like it's supposed to. That's actually the team that I'm going to be on. It's called the SPARTAN team, Station Power, Articulation, and Thermal Analysis. And there's other teams that are managing the robots, doing robotic operations, other teams that are responsible for making sure that the orbit that the space station's in is clear of any debris and that it doesn't get damaged. There's another team that's responsible to make sure the communications are working right and that the computer systems are working right. And there's just so many people down here that are supporting the International Space Station 24/7, doing really interesting work. So a lot of people might be like, I don't want to go to space, but I like space, or I don't think I could become an astronaut. Becoming a flight controller is something that they should really consider, because you get a front row seat to everything that's happening up there in space.
So what made you to come into this position, and what made you to be very passionate about this?
Yeah. I mean, I was in software before. It would make sense that if you're going to the space industry, maybe you want to be in software again. You know, you could start out at a higher level than you could by starting someplace new. But in a software position, you know, you're sitting behind the computer 24, you know, the entire job, and you have a very narrow view of what's going on. And so I really wanted to have a wider connection with the space program. And so for that reason, this flight controller position seemed ideal. You know, I would learn about the International Space Station systems. I would get to interact with other teams. I would be able to see, you know, what the day-to-day managing of the space station looks like. I would get to learn more about science and engineering and about the research they're doing and about the operations. And so have a much wider view of what's going on. And this is one of the things that really kind of attracted me to this job. And I've been in the training for 5 weeks. Just completed my 5th week on Friday, and it is really awesome. And I'm so glad that I did that. And I think other people. I mean, it's one of them. I've been lucky to have really great work environments before. So I don't mean to say anything that might be taken the wrong way, but I would say that this work environment is extremely supportive. Everybody's helping each other. Everybody's, you know, pushing each other to learn, trying to make sure everybody succeeds, actively communicating with each other, actively giving each other feedback, actively expecting each other to become better and better. And I would say it's probably one of the most supportive work environments I've ever been in.
So Spartan flight controller at NASA Johnson uh, place. So what exactly you learned in this 5 weeks and what you do?
Yeah, so the 5 weeks I've been in something called Training Academy and Boot Camp. So this is and I'm still in this part of the program. So we're learning the things that everybody in mission control needs to know. So overview of what the astronauts do, what the flight director does, how they view things. We get to talk to the flight surgeons that are like the doctors for the astronauts. We got to talk to people that manage the internal environmental controls, the robots, the EVA, the people that manage the power, the people that manage, the onboard computer systems, you know, because they have like a network and laptops and routers and all these things, just like you have down here, that all needs to be managed. The team that deals with making sure the station is in the correct orbit and, kind of figuring out how to get it to dock with visiting vehicles, such as the Soyuz or the SpaceX Dragon. We got to talk to, we got to learn about, export controls and, what we post on social media and making sure that we don't cause any problems. We got to, we learned how flight controllers talk to each other, because basically you need to solve problems as a team, and you need to know how to communicate in a very effective way very quickly. We are practicing those skills by playing games like Moonbase, which is a game that was developed to help people learn how to use the technology that's going to be used in mission control, and also sort of the frame of mind and the techniques. We got to learn all about the research that's being done on the International Space Station, how the food systems work, how the internal the exercise systems. So it's really kind of interesting. So just basically just this whole wide range of common information. I mean, it's been like being in 5 weeks of space camp.
So other industries, like other than IT industry, other than space industry, if you see in the world, all other industries, the knowledge of how it works, everything is on the earth. The projects all are all belongs to Earth. So you are working on projects and you are working as a human being. You are doing something that is beyond. Like you are going into the dark. Space study is like going into the dark, understanding something that nobody knows. So only if you people tell to the world, we will know. Okay, this is how the environment is. This is how uh, things work in the unknown place. So how is this for you personally? How you feel? How curious you are to know?
Well, it's interesting you say that everything's on the earth and that maybe I'm interested in things that are in space. I think one of the big fundamental mind shifts that we need to make is the realization that we're all in space, that everybody on earth is in space. The earth is just a planet like Mars or like Mercury, and if we were on one of those planets, we would think, wow, we're in space. But whenever we're on Earth, since Earth is like so big and it's what we all know and all the people are here, we go, oh, we're on Earth, we're not in space. But in reality, the Earth is in space. And there's only this very thin atmosphere that's separating um, the lifelessness of the vacuum of space from the this safe haven that we have here on Earth. And I think realizing that Earth is in space is fundamental for several reasons. One is space isn't that special or unusual. It's just some place that we haven't, grown into yet, and that is quite natural for humanity to be in multiple places in space besides the Earth. And I think the other fundamental thing is to realize how fragile and special the Earth is. And I think space can help with both of those things. But in terms of developing skills and working here on Earth, I think whatever we do, we need to ask ourselves, what is the fundamental value that we're offering? And making sure that we are doing jobs that develop our fundamental skills that make us able to always find something to do, a way to contribute. And there's a couple of things. One is be careful of any type of routine, of coming into the office, checking the email, going to the same status meeting that you've gone to before, working on this project, and really ask yourself, how does this actually benefit the organization? How does this benefit the world? And if you have trouble finding ways, answers to those questions, then that might highlight a risk with those activities because maybe the value isn't as strong in those types of things. And eventually, there'll be an outside change that will force you to change. But if you're always looking at problem solving, always pushing the envelope, always learning new skills, connecting with people, learning new things, trying to do the same thing different ways and seeing which one's better, never accepting that something is good enough, that always realize that the best you can have is the second best solution, and that there's never a best solution. There's just something better than what you have, and we should always seek to find that. And so that's key.
So you did completely different jobs before coming to this particular job, flight controller. So how that jobs that you did, the responsibilities that you took, how those are helping you to do this job better and understand the things better today?
That is a good question. I have to think about that. I think one thing is not being. I think it's very important that we focus on our end goals. We want to be smart. We want to be capable. We want people to see us as smart. We want people to see us as capable. Those are four things that we really need to work on to be smart and to have people know that we're smart, right? And sometimes wanting people to know that you're smart keeps you from actually becoming smart because you don't want to ask the dumb question. You don't want to ask the question about something that everybody else seems to understand, but you don't get, right? You want people to say, oh, wow, you picked that up so quickly, right? Which is great. If you can truly pick it up quickly, that's great. But what's more important than looking smart is actually being smart. And so I think what I've learned over the past 25 years isn't something that necessarily came from doing the jobs I did, from working at an internet service provider, at a web development firm, at the e-commerce group inside of HP, at the consulting group and support group at Anaplan. But I think it came from just having experience of realizing, you know, it's okay not to look smart as long as we're becoming smart. So I think the number one thing I've learned is not to let looking smart keep you from becoming smart. So ask questions if you don't understand. Toss out your wild ideas out there and get the feedback. Realize that people are talking from their place of experience and from their viewpoint. And in the case where they have a lot more experience and know a lot more, you should definitely probably put a lot more weight on their answers, but realize that we're all still sort of figuring out things together, right? So things that don't make sense to you may not actually make sense, but people have just come to accept just because everybody before you have accepted it. So, sometimes you can't make changes right then, but that doesn't mean that you should just accept it and say, well, it doesn't make sense. You need to make it make sense for you. If it doesn't make sense for you, then maybe it needs to change. So those are two things that I've learned.
So before 5 weeks, after 5 weeks of training, what is the change that in you that you are observing?
Well, the last 5 weeks have been like going back to college. So I'm learning to study, learning to memorize, learning to take tests again, learning to take notes, learning to study with my fellow students. So that's the biggest change that's happened over the past 5 years. It's just not 5 years, 5 weeks, just getting back into that, study mode.
So you're also doing your own project regarding the moon. Can you tell more about it?
Absolutely. Countdown to the Moon is a project to try to find out what people think about the future of humanity in the context of us taking those next steps on the moon. It's a project I started in 2019 whenever we were really focused on getting those next humans to actually walk on the moon in 2024. And when that happens, that'll be the first time since 1972 that anybody stepped foot on the moon. So I think only 1% of the world's population was alive in 1972, something like that. But my project is basically to interview a person a day. And I was so thankful to get to interview you. And I've been interviewing a person a day since 2019, interviewed over 840 people so far. I got more than 1,000 more people to interview. And I want to find out how they see the world. What do they see about the future of humanity? Do they know that we're going back to the moon? Do they think it's a good thing? Do they think it's a waste of money? Are we focused on the right priorities? If it was safe and affordable, would they go to space? And also, assuming that at some point we do actually have humanity going beyond the Earth, maybe a city on Mars is an example. you could imagine our relatives actually growing up on Mars and looking back at this time as we get ready to take those next steps on the moon and just wondering what the people were thinking about it. So I kind of think that my project, Countdown to the Moon, is really a time capsule, a historical record, a chance to kind of explore the space of what people think and try to understand, um, you know, and be curious about what my fellow human thinks about the future. And so that's the project.
So you interviewed 800 people. So I'm sure they are from different professions, from different parts of the world, and who are into different backgrounds. So listening to all different perspectives and collecting all this information, what do you understand? How people are thinking about the project that you're doing?
Yeah. What I'm amazed is how smart people are. Um, we have a planet filled with smart, thinking, caring people who are willing to help out strangers with a goofy project that they don't know. Uh, and when you start asking people questions about what do you think about the future, what do you see about the greatest opportunities and challenges, do you think we'll have humanity living beyond the Earth? You get back really intelligent answers, you know? And it's occurred to me that whenever we look at humanity and we see people behaving in bad ways or not smart ways, I think the problem is that we are flooding people with the wrong questions. We're asking them, did you vote for this political party or that political party? What do you think about this person? Do you support this or are you against that? Instead of asking people about, what do you see the future of being? So I think the number one thing I've learned is we need to ask each other better questions.
So there are books which came with a name called "The World Is in Your Mind." So there are a lot of people in the on the around me, or people whom I saw, with whom I completed my bachelor's or master's, or I played cricket with the sports. So we are talking about space. You are into space. You are studying something that is not on the earth, which means you're studying about some place which is not earth. So there are a lot of people that I met, they don't even discuss about the space study or the moon that you're saying, or the Mars, going to Mars. So like they are completely disconnected from the world, that world, which means there are a lot of people who are not thinking about the space. Lot of people, uh, but if you talk with them, they will feel excited for sure, because that is something unknown world, that is unknown thing, which makes curious to listen. So what do you think, world, what do you think about the people who thinks that the world is in our mind, and world is there other than our mind?
Now, whenever you say when the world is in your mind, are you saying that this doesn't exist? That this is all just our imagination or some type of kind of like artificial environment that we're in? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, which is like outside our physical body.
Yeah, I mean it's that great question of if we were just brains inside of a bucket hooked up to electrodes, and all that we were seeing in the world was just the stimulation of those that electronic signal. Could we tell any difference between that and the world that we experience? And I think the answer is probably not. We very easily could be living in an artificial world. This world could be nothing more than a computer program. But I would say that the best way to test this theory is to try to break the program. And what I mean by that is the further we go out into space, the more and more work the environment would have to do to kind of simulate that experience. So, um, I mean, I tend to think that this is all real just because, I mean, does it really matter if it's real or not? Like, if you can't get out of it, um, would it matter? Like, if we're all in like some video game, maybe one of the ways you win the game is to get off the planet.
So information today, most of the human beings are getting from internet. So which they are looking with their eyes and hearing with their ears. So when they sleep, they have dreams and they have their own world that they are going into some unknown world. You are into space study. I'm sure there is a close interconnection between dreams and uh, studying about space, stars, what is there uh, in the Mars outside the Earth or in the solar system or outside the solar system. So people say that I see this, I see this, I see this. So what do you say about the imagination and the study that you're doing?
Yeah, it reminds me of this story I heard about one time about this guy falling asleep and he dreams that he's a butterfly. And then when he awakes, he's confused and he doesn't know if he's a man that dreams he was a butterfly or he's a butterfly that's dreaming he's a man because both seemed equally real to him. And so, that could be true with life as well. How to know what's real and what's not real? I don't know. That's that's a question that I think has challenged humanity more than I can say.
So when we last had a conversation for your project, so I forgot to ask this question because I'm curious to know. The only thing that makes a human to feel about things is touch sense. We have five senses. All the senses are different from touch sense. So when you touch something, you will feel it. It can be a stone or it can be a controlling thing that you are doing in your job. It can be a router or it can be anything. That touch sense. When you touch it, you feel something. So in the same way, when you go to a moon, you're touching something that you didn't touch, or you're feeling so excited. So what is that uh, you know, uh, have human touched anything on the moon or anywhere outside the planet? And how that touch sense, that feeling will be?
And that's a good question. I think, we do talk about having five senses, right? The smell, the hearing, the tasting, the seeing, and the feeling. But we also have other senses too, like inside of our ears, we are able to figure out our balance. We're feeling inside our entire body. And so, on the way to the moon, we're going to feel lots of things, right? So from the time that you're on that launch pad, you're going to take off, that rocket's going to take off, pushing you back in your seat. You're going to have all the sound. And then after you get into orbit, you're going to be in free fall and you're going to be weightless and you're going to be floating around. And then you're going to be on your way to the moon and you're going to land on the moon and you're going to feel gravity again, feel the force pulling you down because you're no longer in free fall. You're standing there on the moon, but you're going to feel 1/6 your weight. So if you weigh, 60 kilograms, you're going to suddenly weigh 10 kilograms, so you'll feel much, much lighter. And you're going to have the spacesuit on you. So you won't be able to feel directly the environment, but you'll be able to pick up stuff. You'll be able to see it. You'll be able to bring it into your spaceship, and then put it back in pressure and to kind of feel it. Though you probably want to keep it in a glove box so that you don't inhale anything you're not supposed to. On Earth, you feel like stones. and they feel very smooth, right? Because the rain beats down on it, the wind is making it smooth. On the moon, there's no atmosphere, no weather, no running water. So those rocks are going to be very jagged. Um, they're very sharp, very uh, rough to the touch, for sure. I've heard that the moon smells like gunpowder or something like this. I think I heard that from one of the previous astronauts that had gone. But I think we have so much more to learn about the moon, so much more to explore and see. I think the more that we go there and look, the more that we'll discover that we don't know and that we need to look further. So I'm really excited, not about anything in particular, but about the things that we can't even imagine at this point.
So you asked the interesting question when you are interviewing me, like is it good for human beings to put so much money on space travel or space study? So asking the same question in a different way. So you're creating so many machines, you're creating rockets, you're creating a lot of mechanism, and you're putting fuel, you're working as a team together to complete the project and to make the rocket launch successfully, and you're doing it. So all other exploration on this planet, on the earth, it can be a health study like human body exploration, or people who are studying underwater, they are finding new species, and every year we are getting like 100 plus new species. They are finding new, they are putting new names. Scientists are putting, I interviewed a person who is into water study, who is a scientist. So like that, there are different types of people who are into different professions, but everybody are exploring things which are there on the earth. And you are doing something unusual, you are studying something, and you can't compare the things which are explored on this planet with the exploring things on the space, because exploring things in the space is something curious for every human being, because everybody wants to listen to that, what you find as astronaut, what you saw, or spacewalk, how it will be. Like we are curious, like what NASA is doing, what SpaceX is doing, what they are doing, what they found. Like when Elon Musk sent the first, got the first success, getting back the rocket in the same place, the expression of his wondered the world. Like when he was very happy, he did something that is didn't happen before. So like that, reusable rockets. So space study, space exploration is something completely different from all other explorations. That is what I feel. I am a software engineer. I did masters in software. I also explore applications, websites, how users interact with the websites, like everything related to the softwares and software development and business development. I interviewed all the people. I am exploring people who are exploring minds, like people, how different people, how they are thinking, why they came from different backgrounds, and different country people have different way of expressing, different way of communicating, and the same word that a Poland person uses, the Norway person uses in the same different way, and Indian uses in the different way, and UK, US, I observed the difference. And when I'm seeing the difference one from other, I'm understanding there is lot of different things in the world. So in the same way, you are into the greatest project in the world. Like as a human being, I'm sure you'll be very proud of what you are doing.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think it's you know, we need to explore in all directions. We need to explore the sea. We need to explore Antarctica. We need to explore the tallest mountains. We need to go to the desert. We need to explore underneath the ground. We need to explore in the atmosphere. And so it's great to kind of um, be in this very unique place to explore, where you can see the Earth, um, you know, rotating underneath. you and you're going around the Earth, where you have this sense of weightlessness, where you know that just right outside the walls of your spacecraft there is nothing to protect you in terms of the atmosphere. Um, and it's almost like a submarine in the sky. You know, that's what the space station is like. It has its own air, and you know it has to maintain its own pressure. And it's really exciting to be a part of this and to see how it works, and to kind of go from reading science fiction books where the magic is happens to actually seeing what the day-to-day realities of it is. What does it actually take to get an experiment from the idea of a scientist, get the equipment up to the International Space Station, get the experiment ran, get the results back. Um, so I'm really excited to learn more about that.
So, as a human being, what do you think about Elon Musk? Because you are a human being, you have the same hands, legs, eyes, nose, you have the same senses, and Elon Musk has the same senses, and same. You both are human beings, but he's exploring completely different things. Hyperloop, SpaceX, Tesla, and he's doing this, and he's saying, we need to have roadways under the ground, and he says a philosophy about it, and he says we need to be as a human being, we should be multiplanetary species, and we need to have an alternate place, and it is important, and he's convincing the world, and most of the people getting convinced, because the way he says, the philosophy he has, the concern that he has on the humanity, and also I can see he has opinions on artificial intelligence. He said we it is artificial intelligence is more dangerous than nukes, he said at a point of time. And also when he's talking with Jack Ma, the Alibaba head, he said he raised a lot of points about artificial intelligence, and also when he's talking with uh, the in Dubai with the head of the country, some guy, and the first question that the interviewer asked Elon Musk is, why you do whatever you do? You create SpaceX, you create Tesla, you say electric cars, why you do? So he come with completely a broad, like how you came from computer, communicating with computer, you worked with as a software engineer, you are just connected with computer, and you want to explore, and you decided to come into NASA, and you want to understand the wide things, operations, lot of things, like in the same way there also he said, like I can see he's talking about the complete world. He understood. Do you think he understood about the complete world? And he's telling he's convincing, because each of his tweets will impact some industry or some uh, things. So he's a human being and you're a human being. He explored different things, and he's not a scientist. His background is physics. He came from physics background, and he explored the space world, and he's saying, and everybody started believing him that he's going to do something that nobody did, and because he proved on the planet. So you are doing the same, and you decided to do the same. As a human being, you want to explore. So what do you say about this, Elon Musk, and the thinking process of yours?
I would say the thinking process of Elon Musk is much different than mine in terms of execution. I mean, he sees uh, the problem of the global climate change, and with taking so much carbon out of the ground and put in the air, and vehicles are a big part of that. So creating Tesla and a kind of and the rooftop solar power and the batteries and the charging infrastructure, that is like an amazing accomplishment. I think one person doing that would be really amazing. But then whenever you add SpaceX and reducing the cost of launch so much, I mean, SpaceX launched 11 rockets this year in 11 weeks. So they're averaging one rocket launch a week. I'm not sure how much other places have launched rockets, but I believe that SpaceX is on track to launch half of all the launches in the world this year. And if they're successful, Starship, I mean, you and I will be able to take a trip to space. It may not be something we do every day. It might be something we do once in a lifetime, but it would be something that would suddenly become possible for us. And that would, I think, having vast numbers of people see the Earth from space will make that mind shift of, the Earth is in space. The Earth and space are all part of the same thing. The Earth is fragile and small. I think you'll start seeing people having that shift. And that'll drive a lot of differences in behaviors and policy, I believe. And I think Elon really could develop a city on Mars with 1 million people by 2050 that would be self sufficient. I think there's enough interest around that that will coalesce around that to actually make it happen. And then, like you said, the Boring Company, I mean, we could have 50 levels of roads underneath the ground, going in all sorts of different directions and not have traffic anymore. And then Neuralink, this idea of having a brain computer interface that would allow for you to just think something and save it away in the computer or retrieve information. I mean, it's huge. So I wish I thought more like Elon in terms of making things like this happen. But I am really glad that we have him. I think we need to figure out how to get more Elons. I mean, what would it take for you to become an Elon?
I did get you.
Oh, what would it take for you to be like Elon Musk?
So in an interview, an interviewer asked him that, "Are you? What do you say to the people who wants to become Elon Musk?" So he said, "No, it hurts. It hurts your mind. It hurts your heart because he sleeps in the, in the company, in the couch for a long time. He works, he works, he works, he works, he works, and he advised, I don't recommend anybody to do the same thing that I did. So it hurt," he said. So coming to this, you asked me, uh, uh, boring company. So he said a philosophy like, the deepest minds are more deeper than the tallest buildings that we have. So that is the philosophy that he says, but it is very expensive. He says, no, it's not. He already started and it's very secret. Don't say like I'm doing this under the under the ground in a place in US, and I'm creating this. And the world started thinking alternatives. Like what I say is, the people who thinks about the alternatives, who will try to find the new ways, new come with the new philosophies, things in the different way other than conventional thinking. Like everybody is going in the same way. When you don't think in other way, you won't get a new perspective. You won't get like this is also a way with which you can reach the destination. So uh, lot of people, if people starts thinking in different ways, because there is no, my body has limitation, but thought process, thinking process have no limitation. We are thinking so much, that's why we are into space today. If we have limited ourselves and if we put borders around our thinking, we won't step out, and we feel scared of everything in the world. So if we feel scared, nothing will be explored. The people who are exploring like this on this planet are stepping out from their comfort zones and thinking beyond and trying to tell something and with a logical analysis. And they are telling that, and they are proving it, and they proved it. And Tesla proved, and SpaceX launched, but it took a lot of time for him to get the success. It consumed a lot of his lifetime. Now he started doing it very quick. He wants to implement and execute things faster in order to like do so many things in his life. He said he wants to die on Mars. He said he wants to die on Mars, which means you can understand how he is committed to his work. Like until unless you do something very something very big or with strong commitment, you won't reach. Like you're putting 2024 as a target. You want to go there. You want to create something. So you have to do something today. You have to do every day something, or at least you have to reduce. If it is 2024, try to do it at least 6 months before or 8 months before, so that you'll have lot of time. What he says is, the more mind that you use, the more output you'll get. The more time you spend on thinking and solving problems. Solve as many as problems and solve different problems. Like you're doing 800 interviews and you're going to interview 1,000 people, so you are solving different problems. Like if every person is a problem, you're solving it. You're talking with completely different mindset. So that is what, as a you're using your mind efficiently and effectively, you will get lot of information, like different information. You have to collect different information, not the same. You should not you should not solve the problem that is already solved. Solve something that didn't solved, or you have to take that as a challenge. That is when your skill comes out as a human being. Like if you are doing that everybody is doing, if you are learning, or if you're creating a company project, job, so I don't think you're using your ability or your mental physical energies completely. So you can put yourself out, and you can, even you feel surprised sometimes when you solve some problems. You will feel like, did I solve this? Am I the person who solved this? You will get surprised that you have this much energy or this much skills or this much logical thinking, rational thinking on your side. So until unless you do it, even you won't believe it. Like that, until we do it, we don't know what we can do. And also same applies for the world. Until unless we launch a rocket and we replay I mean put it in the same place, like we reuse the rocket, and if he proves it, then everybody in the world clapped, like saying that, yeah. But he's saying that before, but Russia rejected. When he went to Russia, he saw a very big number. You can't pay this. Then he decided to create his own rockets. Today, he's being inspiration for everybody in the world. Like I'm in India, in a small part of the world. I got inspired by him. Why? I don't even know him. I don't know who he is. I came to know how he by watching his interviews, watching how he did, and the philosophy that he has. That's why he's being on the top, and he's doing that to do something very big. And like that, even NASA started doing this. NASA is from long time. They're doing, they're working hard, they're exploring. Everybody wants to work in NASA, every engineer, because they can explore, they can change uh, themselves, and they can put themselves in a challenge, because it is an everyday challenge. You have to find new directions or new ways of thinking. If you can continuously able to uh, set your mind like that, solving different problems, you need organization like that. You need organization where you can work with experts who will not repeat the same, who wants to save the time. like who talk something different always. So when you listen to some people who are talking something that you don't know, you will learn. So if you're being with them for a long time in a day, you will get a lot of information. So if you are doing that for 5 years, 6 years, 10 years, you will become a gem. And also you can do something. You have a lot of uh, 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 you have a lot of freedom where you can tell what you feel about things. So yeah, that is what I feel like about the thinking process and comparing to Elon Musk. So you said yours.
And definitely true. I have heard some people say that they find Elon Musk irritating, but I think um, I'm not sure why that is. I don't think they know as much about Elon as you and I do in terms of what he's actually accomplished and what his goals are. He's very open, you know. He tweets random stuff, you know, and says what he thinks, and he doesn't seem to really care about what other people think. And he does a lot, and he's very rich and very powerful. But I I think that may make people, um, you know, uh, doubt his motives, or um, maybe people are like, I don't know. It's just kind of interesting. But I really like Elon. I'm a big Elon fan. I In 2016, when the International Astronautical Congress was in Guadalajara, Mexico, which is just south of me, Elon was going to go there and talk about the interplanetary transportation system. And so myself and my son and my wife, we went down there and we got to listen to him talk about what it would take to reduce the cost of space travel to the point that people could actually liquidate everything here on Earth and then make the transition to Mars. And it was really inspirational. And it's been great to actually, I mean, that was only 6 years ago. And, you know, these rockets exist. You know, they're weeks away from being tested. Um, you know, this is something that could happen in the next few years. We could have these starships flying, and the cost of transportation space go way down. It'll be exciting.
And also he said, I feel jealous of the people who are into 20s and who are who are getting information from the internet very fast. I didn't do that, but today you can do that. And he's also against to social networks. Like don't waste your time on social networks. Try to be productive. Try to create some things. He will say like that. So he has a completely different perspective, and also he's being inspiration for a lot of people. Like I got inspired, you got inspired. Something some thoughts of his, some energy of his is working in our bodies and in our minds, and allowing us to grow ourselves and think in certain way. Because these kind of people, you know, why he become powerful, why he become very rich, why he become a very influential guy in the world. Because you know, like you are interviewing 800,000 and you already did so many jobs in your life which is completely different from one another, right? You did you was into software web development, and now you are into different study. You're working in a different place, which means you explored already. You explored
Mhm.
the different jobs and roles and responsibilities. Your mind already uh, did something different every time in your life. So he wants to do it every minute. That's the difference. Like he want to explore continuously. Like he's conscious and he's curious, and he won't waste time in listening to the same thing or to the same person or listening to the same thought. He wants to think in another way. Why can't we do in this way? Like the different like being completely you're completely trying to find in all the ways. I mean, when you be very alone, or when you be uh, conscious about your thinking process, and when you be very focused on your subject, you will find the ways. And he found the ways. He explored. The people who are very powerful in the world are, they are the people who explored things that nobody did. So that's why they become powerful, and they are curious. They will do that until they live on this planet. They will explore things and they will be powerful. And they will understand after a certain time. They will understand that I can be powerful only if I explore things, not by just putting money in my bank. The money will be there in their bank until they continue exploring things. They say some new thoughts to the world, new ways of thinking, or show how to do things in the space. Find a new thing. For example, you maybe you're working in space study. So uh, maybe you people will tell, you will people will find some energy in the space that will be useful for our planet, and useful for our human activities in a day in our daily life. If you are finding that, because there are scientists who are saying that we can find energies from the asteroids. If we can, there will be a lot of minerals in that. If we can able to find it, if we can get it, that will be useful for our to do things better and faster. So like electric cars, maybe another innovation will come using that energy. We will create some new project. Companies will come together, they invest on it, they will create something that didn't so what I'm trying to say is, exploring, people who are exploring, people who are continuously learning, and trying to find new ways constantly, using their 24 hours very effectively, efficiently, and listening to new thoughts, new watching new visuals with the eyes continuously. Like you saw yesterday a movie, today you're watching a different movie, which means two different movies collection information is there in your mind. In the same way, you studied a different book yesterday. Now you're studying a different book. So when we do continuously, like yesterday, today, it's a very big time. If we can do that in before 1 hour, after 1 hour, like in, we can save time. That is what Elon did. Like he thinks differently because he will learn different things. And that when you do that, automatically your mind will become like, you want to absorb things which are different. You want to do things, your work in different ways, and you can solve problems, and you can find the ways that nobody did. So I think explorers are the people who are making the world move forward.
Yeah, no, I think you're definitely right. Well, Asai, I've totally so glad that I got to interview you and that you got to interview me and that we had this time to talk. It's been such a wonderful thing to actually make this connection with you. And I'm glad that you're out there kind of connecting, exploring, and researching and stimulating yourself and other people to think about these things. So, um, definitely really glad that you're getting out there to encourage people to do this.
So thank you very much, Nathan, for giving me your valuable time, and telling me about yourself to my audience, and telling how you did what you did, and how you're making things done. So I want you to continue doing things, and keep being inspiring people, and also contribute a lot to the humanity and to the planet.
Well, thank you so much. Well, I think with that, I better go to sleep. And
Yeah,
I know you're just at the beginning of your day.
yeah. Last question. What is your observation about my videos? Have you seen any videos of mine on YouTube?
I haven't actually. I've uh, there's uh, there's a few YouTube channels that I've seen a lot, like What's About It, What About It, and Scott Manley's channel, and the Angry Astronaut. So I've seen these channels on a regular basis. Um, but there's like so much content out there. It's so hard to really have time to absorb it all.
So, what do you say about our conversation? My questioning.
I think it's good. I think, um, yeah, I think it's important to kind of keep it open ended, but also have things that, keep the conversation going. So it did both of those things. Um, I think your observations about Elon are spot on. Um, and uh, yeah, I think it's good. I I mean, what do you think about it? What are your goals with your interviews?
So I want to give information to the world how different people thinking and how they are making things possible and how they are solving problems. Like I take interviews of different country people who are into like cloud architects, software engineers, software architects, uh, cloud architects, CEOs of the companies. Before this, I took interviews of the company heads, founders, from Australia to like all the parts, more than 100 plus countries. Uh, uh, People came to my show, all extremely professional and more than 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 30, 40 years, authors of the books. Like, when you see, you didn't saw my channel, when you see, they're talking about their imagination, the people who write the love stories, they tell about the real stories of their life, what happened, their relationships, all like different, like completely different. I recently I took a person who is from a writers of Marvel, who worked in Marvel. So they are talking about how they worked and all. So taking all this collection, I want to put in an organization in coming days. If I work in a company, I want to give this to develop or to create something or to tell something new, and also it will be good for me to work with people who are like me. At the same time, I can learn from them, they can learn from me. I'm sure by seeing the information, they will definitely think that I can do something very big for the organization. So that is what this is a side project. How you are doing your project, like going to moon, you're doing it. You're giving a new information and collection of thoughts to the world. You're doing it right from your side. I'm doing it for myself because YouTube is free and podcast is free. Right, the server space is free. So I'm just doing and putting it. So other than my full-time job, I want to explore things. This will be the continuation because I'm just 29. Because I have huge time to live on this in this world. If something uh, don't come badly, so that's what I want to contribute as much as possible in every which way in terms of skills, talent, and exploring and giving energy, more energy to the world. The energy is the thoughts. It's my channel name is Smart Cherry's Thoughts. It's my thoughts. It's collection of thoughts I'm sending to the world, and I took more than 480 interviews, and this is the one of the best interviews of mine.
Well, you're very kind, and I'm glad to participate. And it's, I think the key thing is just to make sure that you continue to grow and connect. And, um, just like you were saying, how you always have to be aware of, um, making sure that you grow and connect. Um, I guess just keep that in mind. So, uh, don't feel compelled that you have to keep it up, but if it continues to work, do keep it up. So that's the
Sure, Nathan. Can I put this video on my YouTube channel with your permission?
absolutely, yeah. You can use this
And
video however it helps you.
yeah, can I also put this video on my podcast, website, internet, social media, everywhere with your permission?
Yeah, any place you want to put it, it's totally yours.
Yeah. Thank you, Nathan. Keep going, keep doing what you love.
Well, thank you, Sai. Well, good night, and you have a good and wonderful day.
Yeah, good night. Sleep well.
Bye bye.
Bye.